Sheriff Todd Baxter. My name is Chris Chester. I've never committed a crime. This is your re-election defeat. This is a list of salaries, also called public employee payroll, at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. When you run for re-election, I'm going to come to your events with this document. I'm going to hand it to the individuals at your events so I get the payroll. And I hope to have an updated payroll right before you run for re-election. Now, there's one page in particular that guarantees you a primary in the Democratic primary. Isn't that right? You switch parties to run for sheriff because you have absolutely no political principles. You will say anything. You will say anything, Sheriff of Monroe County. This page right here is why you lose. These are your six-figure cops. How many people in Monroe County earn $100,000 or more? It's not as uncommon as it used to be, but a cop is a cop, and that's all you are at the sheriff's office. It's a miserable, pathetic, corrupt criminal cop. And you employ miserable, pathetic, corrupt criminal cops. People are going to be enraged about this one page right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 $100,000 cops. Jansen D. McNair, $104,938. Kevin C. Kaiser, $110,868. Edward L. Krenzer, $118,787. John M. D. Martino, $101,843. Matthew J. Venduzzi, $130,433. John R. Kennedy, $110,868. James McGowan, $110,868. Dale Earn, $110,868. Thomas A. Sarkis, $101,843. If you're asked, what does Matthew J. Venduzzi do at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office to be paid $130,433? What's your answer? That's $2,100 less than you. So I'll ask you, what does Matthew J. Venduzzi do at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office to be paid $130,433? And your answer is, you want to come to my residence and arrest me because you're a psychopath. It's not an exaggeration to call you a psychopath. You put a camera on the building in 2025 Penfield Road, also called a surveillance device, concoct the crime for me for walking through this parking lot. I'm the only citizen of Penfield, New York, in a town of 36,000 to be arrested for walking through this parking lot. I'm the only citizen in the county of Monroe of 200,000 people to be arrested for walking through this parking lot. I'm the only citizen in New York State with a population of 17.9 million to be arrested for walking through this parking lot. That's why you're a psychopath. And you employ $67,000 Shannon Meyer. Click on that YouTube about her. How she concocted criminal contempt for me and used a civilian named Steve Desmond and brought color tree and lawn kids. Real crime in Monroe County. I've stated the crime statistics before on here. And here your nauseating, disgusting, repulsive hack is setting me up with a civilian to get me to come out of the house because this psychopath Nayrod Shah who lives at 2025 Penfield Road demanded I be arrested. A civilian is telling you that I should be arrested, and you don't dismiss this guy. And neither does Shannon Meyer. Now, I've also, by the way, it's not a crime to walk outside and say nobody owns Atlanta and walk back in the house. That's not criminal contempt, you bald-headed fascist stooge and criminal. I go to the now defunct PW Fitness. I'm on the bench press. I lean back one day. Jermaine Bedman walks up to me. The gym psychopath. He punches down my head, snaps back. Andrew Reale arrives. We go out to the vehicle. Reale tells me to wait in the backseat of his vehicle. From the time I'm on the bench press, you bald-headed fascist stooge and criminal, until I'm on the backseat of Andrew Reale's police vehicle, what's the name of the human being I'm harassing? Do you believe that an individual anywhere in the United States of America charged by a law enforcement official with harassment second is harassing someone? Who did I harass from the time I was on the bench press till when I was in the backseat of Andrew Reale's police vehicle? The answer is no one. Reale tells Jermaine Bedman what to say. He tells Jermaine Bedman to say, I want 2 press charges against you. With those 7 words, I'm charged with harassment second, sitting in the backseat of Andrew Reale's police vehicle. You pay Andrew Reale $79,000 to do this to me. You pay Shannon Meyer $67,000 to concoct criminal contempt second for me. You pay Andrew Reale $79,000 to concoct harassment second for me. When I'm not harassing anyone, you pay Don Benedetto $85,000 to hide in the bushes across the street from 26 Centers while I'm driving away from me to come outside my residence on August 30th after midnight. And your employees are walking around outside there waiting for me to come outside. I come outside, they're running at me from the private property of my neighbor. I run alongside my residence. I run up the back porch. Your employee grabbed my arm, you bald-headed fascist dude and criminal. The hammer I just grabbed from the side goes up. I pull away, run back into my residence. How's that a crime? How am I committing a felony on my back porch, you bald-headed fascist dude and criminal? What's their names? What are the names of your 2 employees that said I swung a hammer on them? That's a fucking lie. If I wanted to swing a hammer at your employee, Todd the Fast Stooge, I would swing a hammer at your employee, and I would have landed the hammer on his head and would have ended his career. So you got $67,000 Shannon Mark concocting criminal contempt second for me. When I'm not committing a crime. You got Andrew Reale charging me with harassment second, sitting in the backseat of your vehicle when I'm not harassing anyone. You got your psychopaths on the private property of my neighbor in Penfield, waiting for me to come out of the residence at midnight and concocting a felony for me on my back porch. I have never committed a crime. And as I detailed here, I'm going to send this to you with additional language about it and what I believe about you when I contact the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York. So here you are, and it's this disgusting, nauseating descent on my life. In the 30 years since I was honorably discharged as a 22-year-old Sergeant E5 from 2nd Squadron, 17 Cavalry, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, I got one speeding ticket. I didn't suddenly lose the ability to make a distinction between legal and illegal, right and wrong. You can't make a distinction between legal and illegal, right and wrong. Now, I cited my experience in the 101st. Not to cite it, it's not gratuitous, because you had an awards ceremony at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office where you recognized Samuel J. Bell, he's paid $107,803. Trevor Ott, he's paid $67,586. Brett L. Rogers, he's paid $62,586. And Damaris E. Clark, he's paid $55,317. And Under Sheriff Corey Brown is there at $131,485. So I'm looking at this, your Facebook page here. January 22nd, 4:04 p.m., Sheriff Baxter, Under Sheriff Brown, and Commander Bell presented awards to Deputy Ott, Deputy Clark, Deputy Rogers yesterday, as they were unable to make the original award ceremony. Congrats, deputies. I want to make sure I got that right. Deputy Ott, $67,586. Deputy Clark, $55,317. Deputy Rogers, $62,586. So you got Ott, Clark, and Rogers. What did Ott, Clark, and Rogers do? I'm going to demand what these employees, Trevor Ott, Brett Rogers, and Damaris Clark did. What did Trevor Ott, Brett Rogers, and Damaris Clark do to be recognized for you? What is with this masturbation at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office by you? This glorification of the employees? What did they write the most speeding tickets in Monroe County? You bald-headed fascist stooge and criminal? What was the process for recognizing your employees that led to this day? Because this is what I'm going to tell you what the process should be. It should be similar to the one that I experienced at 2nd Squadron, 17 Cavalry, 101st Airborne Division. To recognize someone with an award, you should recognize your employees with awards. But given how you're a disgusting, repulsive, party-switching, bald-headed criminal and you're concocting crimes for me, I believe that it's a fake award ceremony. And you just want to recognize your employees because you believe that can get you attention, especially attention from the media. And then you can talk about how wonderful and terrific and how tough the job is and whine about being a cop. Stop that fucking whining about being a cop and stop demanding approval about being a cop. Cops are the only profession in the United States of America where you, one, whine, and two, demand approval. And you whine and demand approval constantly. If I was at that award ceremony, you'd probably be talking about how tough it is to be a police officer and what we face every day and what the shield has to go through. You don't know what it's like to be a police officer. Stop that pathetic whining. I've seen you do that. I've seen you do that pathetic demand for approval. So, an award ceremony for these three guys. When I was in the CAV, in the 101st, there's the Army Commendation Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Legion of Merit, any number of awards that can be given. And as you are a veteran and you see someone in their dress greens and you see the ribbons and you recognize those awards, especially the most common, which is an Army Commendation, Army Achievement Medal. There is a process where I was where the recommendation has to be made by the sergeant, E5, E6, E7. And then the sergeant would write on a piece of paper and had a form with a number on it. So there would be the recommendation by the sergeant. And then it would go to the lieutenant or the captain or the major. And then there would be another paragraph. So you had a paragraph by the sergeant for the recommendation for the award. Then it would be the officer at the troop. We had A, B, and C troop. You following me here so far how it works? Where I was? Because this is how it works. It should have worked at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And I believe you have no process like this if you're going to recognize someone, especially when you're using taxpayer dollars. So, sergeant with the reform, recommendation by the sergeant, the recommendation by the officer, lieutenant, or captain. And then I would type this up, it would be written, and then I would bring it to the colonel, lieutenant colonel. And then lieutenant colonel would look at documentation. There ought to be other supporting documentations, especially for the Rangers, given what they were doing. Sometimes there would be things that we blacked out because of what the Rangers were doing. And if you wear that Ranger tab, that they are the warriors in the military. So I'm telling you this because it was a process where achievement needed to be recognized and supported for real achievement. So the recommendation from the sergeant, the NCO, the recommendation from the commanding officer, and then it would go to the colonel, and then I would have additional paperwork, and he would sign his name, and he would bring it back to me. And I was one of the few soldiers that had direct interaction with the colonel on a near daily basis, because not only for the awards, for the Article 15 non-judicial punishment, just the court-martial, for anything else he wanted to do. Because a colonel, lieutenant colonel, or a full-board colonel is also a bureaucrat. And he will sit there at his desk, and I don't mean bureaucrat in a negative way, a bureaucrat in a way where you have to sign paperwork and you have to exert leadership by sitting there at a desk and signing documents and giving orders based on the documents you sign. That's leadership. And whenever I hear the term desk jockey, I laugh, because being a desk jockey is leadership. So I'd have this interaction with the colonel. And one of the things that he was most concerned about was recognizing soldiers that truly deserved awards. Do Trevor Ott, Brett L. Rogers, and Damaris Clark, what did they do? I'm going to write you a Freedom of Information law and demand exactly why you awarded these individuals. And you have on your Facebook page other award ceremonies. Every award that you've given out at the Monroe County Sheriff's, I want to know the name and the citation and how you're giving this awards, because you're spending taxpayer dollars for these events. And what you're going to do is come to my house and arrest me because I'm abandoning this. Isn't that right? Just so you know. I will never go into Penfield Town Court, you bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzer, so come and get me, Todd Baxter. I have never committed a crime, and if I was to walk in there, I'm going to jail. There's no due process. The prosecutor hasn't talked twice. First time I was delivered to Monroe County Jail, my head was snapped back at the gym by this violent Doug Jermaine Bettman. The second time I was in Livingston County, how do you explain I was in Livingston County, Todd Baxter? You know why? Because I would be attacked at Monroe County Jail. It's already happened to me by one of your employees. That's what I'm going to tell the United States Department of Justice too. I went back to my jail cell one night. Your employee followed me into the jail cell. Did you recognize this guy with an award? Is he at one of your awards? Someone's here. Is this Trevor Ott or Brett Rogers, Damaris Clark? I know his name, so it's not one of those three. This guy walks back into the jail, so I sit down. I got my notebook. He goes to grab my notebook. He takes my arm. He jams my arm up behind my back. He walks out. He leaves the jail cell with my notebook. I have to go to the nurse. Guess who comes and get me? The same guy. I go to the nurse. She says, "Who did this to you?" After I explained it to her, I said, "The guy standing behind me." I'd like to know if your nurse at the jail even told anybody, any employees, that one of the employees attacked me. Is it even mad at you, the employee attacked me? No, because you don't know what constitutes criminal behavior. You don't. As I'm demonstrating, I'm 55 years old. One speeding ticket in 35 years before you descended upon me. And you cannot explain how this is a crime. How is it a crime, you bald-headed fascist stooge, party-switching criminal, to walk outside, stand here, and tell a guy in his tractor nobody owns any land? Did you give $67,000 Shannon Meyer an award for concocting criminal contempt for me for being outside my residence for 30 seconds? Did $67,000 Shannon Meyer be recognized by you? Did you give $79,000 Andrew Reale an award for charging me with harassment second when I'm sitting in the back seat of your Monroe County Sheriff Office vehicle? How does this happen in the United States of America? Tell me. It happens because of a bald-headed, party-switching fascist stooge and criminal descending on an innocent citizen. I have never hated the police in my life. And I would see the state troopers in the Capitol. I worked in that building for 7 years. I would see the Washington, D.C. police on Capitol Hill when I was United States Senate, United States House of Representatives staff when I was there for 5 years. And I would think they're just doing their jobs. I wouldn't look at a police officer in hatred. Now I look at a police officer in hatred. I see somebody wearing that uniform, it is hatred. Because I think that they're putting the screws and concocting crimes to innocent citizens. Like me. Which is happening right now. Your employees right now are putting screws and concocting crimes for innocent citizens right now. They're doing it right now. And you're so delusional, you don't even know it. I'm going to demand a payroll again. And what I'm going to do is, this has been 6+ months, perhaps 12 months since I received this. I want to know who you gave raises to. I'm going to go through every line item on here. I want to see the raises for everyone. If you're giving $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 raise. For example, on here you have $78,715, Matthew P. McBride. If Matthew P. McBride is still on the payroll and his salary is $95,000, and you gave him a $17,000 raise, how does that explain? I don't know. It's a hypothetical. Do you know what a hypothetical is, Todd the fascist dude? You have documentation attached, so click reply and send it to me. I know you're coming here. I will never go into Penfield Town Court Parliament. If I'm there, I'll be screaming at you. You will not be able to talk. So, now, this is the guy you used to get to my residence. Steve Desmond works for Brock Tree and Lawn Care. Did you give an award to Shannon Meyer for working with a civilian to get to my residence to concoct a crime for me? That's why he doesn't want to open his mail. Elliot Roth, you copied on this twice. Doesn't want to open his mail twice. This is the guy. I'm walking through the parking lot. This guy, Elliot Roth. I'm going to tell you what happened. This parking lot that your employees at the sheriff's office can walk through without being arrested. Why is that? Your employees at the district attorney's office can walk through without being arrested. Why is that? Do I not have the same 14th Amendment right as a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee or an employee in the Monroe County District Attorney's Office? The answer is no. I'm waiting for you to start pounding the door and screaming my name. Look at that YouTube called Hatred. Did you give an award out to the guy screaming my name in fanaticism? Did you have a little masturbation award ceremony there with that guy? What's his name? You better tell me his name, you bald-headed, party-switching, fascist, douche, and criminal. Do you understand me? Tell me the name of that one guy screaming my name. You know who he is. There were at least 8 of you here. My neighbors saw this too. My neighbors came over. You know when they came, they knocked on the door. I have to look out the window to make sure that's not one of your fanatics at my residence. So, you put a camera on this building here. Because I'm walking through the parking lot one day, and this guy, Elliot Roth, this guy here, this civilian, he's a civilian. He works at this building. Says to me, you're going to be arrested. And I have no idea what he's talking about. All I'm doing is walk through the parking lot, just like my neighbors, just like Penfield High School students, just like my excellent friend. Why does this guy, Elliot Roth, tell me I'm going to be arrested? Because you put that camera, also called a surveillance device, on this building at 2025 Penfield to concoct the crime for me. When did that device go on there? I've been demanding this over and over and over. It was on the phone of your employee. When they took me to your Jonestown after I urinated in the backseat of your vehicle and I was handcuffed inside your jail cell and I couldn't reach the urinal, urinated on myself, and your employee showed me the video. There's email after email after email for this one video. Where is it? What's the name of the employee that put this camera, also called a surveillance device, on this building? Was that Shannon Meyer that did it? Was it a recommendation? How did it get on that building, Elliot? Elliot, is that just a camera, also called a surveillance device, that's on your building, and then Sheriff Todd Baxter utilized technology in order to capture the video image of me? Or did Sheriff Todd Baxter put that camera on that building? What's the answer, Elliot? What's the answer, Sheriff Baxter? I'm going to say this again. Was that camera already on the building, Elliot Roth and Sheriff Todd Baxter, and then you just utilized the technology to get the video image of me? Or did you install it, you bald-headed fascist, stooge, and criminal? What's the answer? And you know what the answer is going to be? You refuse to answer. You're accountable to no one. You do whatever the hell you want. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Did you give an award to this employee here driving by Wegmans? What the fuck are your employees doing at Wegmans? They're there every day. Why are they there? Did you recognize them at your little fake award ceremony? Did you recognize her? Did you give an award to employees standing around here at the gym at MCC after 5K? What are they doing here? There's no reason for your employees to be at a gym at MCC, ever. Why are they here at MCC? How would you answer that? You will have to answer these questions. And this is what a joke you are. When you demand answers, you better receive those answers. You better receive it in the pursuit of real crime. But when a citizen asks answers of you, it's a complete and total arrogant dismissal. Because you do whatever the hell you want, you're accountable to no one. You are why Americans hate the police. Did you give an award to Ryan Fisher for being in Atlanta, Georgia? Is he at the award ceremony? I've been demanding over and over and over for 18 months now. How much was the plane ticket? How much was the hotel? How much was it for the care and feeding of his dog, Lola? How much did you pay for this? A junket enrages taxpayers. You're a politician. You must know this. A junket that is within 100 miles of where the person works. For example, in Albany, when I was a public employee in Albany, Washington, D.C., people would go on junkets, especially in Albany, New York City. They would love to go to New York City. Not just you could drive down the thruway to go to New York City. When I Worked in Washington, D.C. as U.S. Senate and U.S. House of Representatives. People go on junkets in Northern Virginia and Alexandria because it's beautiful there in Northern Virginia. So at least a junket, when a member of the Assembly or Senate would be nailed for one, they could say, well, we just went to New York City. If somebody in the U.S. House Senate or U.S. House of Representatives got nailed, they could say, well, we just did Northern Virginia, because they could say it was close. This is a junket in Atlanta, Georgia, 1,500 plus miles away. How do you explain it being in Atlanta, Georgia for the Super Bowl? Ryan, did you play in the game? That's what I want to know. What is Ryan Fisher doing in Atlanta, Georgia? How much was the hotel? How much is the plane ticket? You refuse to answer. Because you're accountable to no one. You're accountable to no one because you're taking pictures of your employees underwater in the pool. How many of the fake awards winners? Let me ask some of the fake awards winners, because I'm demanding who was under here. Were you Samuel J. Bell and your $107,803 salary down here since you were a fake award winner? Are you Trevor Ott and your $67,586 fake award? Are you under here, Trevor? Are you Brett L. Rogers and your $62,586 salary under here? Are you Damaris E. Clark and your $55,317 salary under here? So what's the answer, Trevor, Brett, Damaris, and Samuel? Are you under here? How is this explained? How does the bald head of Stoogism explain this photograph? I was told it was training exercise, and that's a lie. What pool was it taken in? I swim in the pool at the YMCA. It is a big pool, and this looks like a big pool to get all of your whack jobs under here. And you refuse to answer. I was attacked by a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee because I have this check in my hand. Did you give an award to one of your employees, you bald-headed criminal, for attacking me at the pharmacy instance of Wegmans? And you have 11 witnesses to this. I go to Canandaigua National Bank, and I withdrew $21.39. Excuse me, I withdrew $40. And I had $21.39 in my pocket. That's why this check says $61.39. $21.39, withdrew $40. So there I am, walking down Penfield Road with $61.39. And then I see your Monroe County Sheriff Office. He goes past me because you're way for following me. You had to be following me. You knew exactly where I was because of what I'm doing to you on YouTube, because I read the salaries on YouTube. So you listen to me, you bald-headed criminal. You are following me. Your employees are following me because that's why they converted upon me when they did. Pay attention to the crime I'm going to describe that your employee committed upon me. And it's not even going to matter to you that your employee committed a crime, because you're accountable to no one. You do whatever the hell you want. The fact that your employee committed a crime upon me does not matter. So I make a right on Sanders Farm Drive, make a left on Willow Pond Way, and then I see them still passing me in Penfield Road. I get to the pharmacy entrance of Wegmans. It's the 5 Eagles 11. One of the 11 exited his vehicle, ran at me, lowered his shoulder, and jammed his shoulder into the small of my back and knocked me to the ground, and my head slammed against the concrete pavement. And then he briefly sat at me. There I am, being attacked by a Monroe County Sheriff's Office at the pharmacy entrance. Why? I'm walking over to Cam's Pizza, which I love to go to. That's all I'm doing. Why did your employee physically attack me at the pharmacy entrance? Why? Because I believe because of what I'm doing to you. And I read the salaries. Perhaps I read the salaries and he was enraged. He was one of them. I believe that this guy that attacked me was one of the salaries I read. What's his name? This is why I'll never go into Penfield Town Court. I'll now acknowledge Paul Metzler and James C. Mully Jr., and then you can concoct charges from me. And if I'm in there, Paul Metzler, I'll scream at you in the most ferocious way. I want to be absolutely clear. I'm being delivered to jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk, when you're concocting criminal charges for me, as I've just explained. I've never swung a hammer on anybody. I didn't commit felony assault on my back porch. I've never harassed anybody in my life. And that's not a crime to just walk outside my residence, say nobody owns that land, and walk back in my residence. So fuck you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal Paul Metzler. I will never go in there. Come and get me, Todd Baxter. Send your criminals. Come and get me. So, your employee physically attacked me, Todd Baxter. What's his name? You have 11 witnesses. And the blue wall of Todd Baxter is going to prevent you from disclosing the name of your criminal employee that attacked me. The blue wall of Todd Baxter is in total silence as an innocent citizen is attacked by a law enforcement employee. The blue wall of Todd Baxter is a criminal enterprise. What's his name? What would you think if what happened to me at the pharmacy entrance happened to Kevin Baxter? What would you think if what happened to me at the pharmacy entrance Happened to Zachary Baxter. What would you think if Zachary Baxter, Kevin Baxter, was violently attacked by a police officer or law enforcement official anywhere in the United States of America? What would Mrs. Todd Baxter think about that? Because I was delivered to the MRI tube. I'll pick this up once again. It says Rochester Regional Health. Your employee delivered me to the MRI tube. What's his name, Todd Baxter? I'm laying in the MRI tube. I could feel the back of my head. And it was a pain that I had to deal with, just sitting in there. And it was a consuming pain at one point where I'm thinking, please go away. Stop this pain. It was throbbing behind my head. Please go away. I'm saying this to myself over and over. Just go away, go away, go away. And it would not stop. It eventually did. I'm glad I got a high tolerance for pain. You're coming to my house to demand my dog. This is why you're a psychopath. You employ psychopaths. Was one of your fake award winners at my door, pounding on my door to demand my little guy? Do you not know, Todd Baxter, that people in the United States of America, American citizens, love their dogs? Do you have a dog? What would you think if Zachary Baxter, Kevin Baxter, or Mrs. Todd Baxter is just walking your dog every day, same way, 4,000 times, 7 years, and they ask the police demanding the dog? You know what Mrs. Todd Baxter would think, Zachary Baxter would think, Kevin Baxter would think? This person on my door is a psychopath. I'm walking my dog the same way. I adopted him from Lollipop Farm on the side. And you know why I was able to adopt my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley? We passed the background check that they did. And he also asked us a series of questions. And it was an extensive interview, just like a job interview. All I'm doing is walking him right here. I walk him alongside this land that has no ownership. One day, the back window from this repulsive shack to Charlotte Law Firm. I'm over here, behind these trees. This woman is screaming. See this distance here? She is screaming from me at this building, across the parking lot, and I'm about halfway down here. I'm about 50 to 75 yards away. I don't know what's going on. If this woman's screaming for me, you've unleashed these parasites on me. So she's screaming at me. I can't hear her because of the distance. I come back into my residence. I put my little guy in his dog bed and I walk through the parking lot to go talk to this woman that's screaming at me, just to ask her, why are you screaming at me? What is the problem? I walk in there and she refuses. And Nairaj and Lenny Kumar Shah, these parasites who unleashed upon me, refuse to. If I was ever screaming at someone, I don't scream, I've never screamed, but hypothetically, and then somebody asked me why, then I would provide an explanation, because that's called decency. But I have never screamed at anybody. All I'm doing is walking my dog the same way every day for 7 years. This is who Drew with. This is who Shannon Meyer's with. Shannon Meyer is with these people. Why is she employed at the sheriff's office? How do you employ this Shannon Meyer? How do you employ Andrew Yelly? How do you employ Don Benedetto? You employ criminals and psychopaths and sociopaths, and you don't know it because you have this pathetic award ceremony. An hour later, I have a pounding on my door. You pound on doors. Do you tell your employees to cut loose and pound on the door, ring the doorbell over and over? That's what they do. You can hear it on the video I call Hatred. On the YouTube, I call Hatred. They are pounding on my door like psychopaths. I do not use language to engage in hyperbole. I strive to be precise in my language. You pounded on my door. You screamed my name outside. What's the name of that one psychopath that screamed my name? There's one guy in particular. He's the loudest. What's his name? Was he recognized at your fake award ceremony? Did you give him an award for screaming my name outside like a psychopath? Was he recognized there along, with your other employees there at the fake awards ceremony, that guy? Was he recognized along with Samuel Bell, the guy screaming my name like a psychopath? So there are your two employees at my front door. There is a vicious confrontation at my front door. Your employees are at my front door demanding my little guy, my dog, I love just as much as a family member. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your employees? Did you know, or do you know, that your employees showed up to my residence in Penfield and demanded my dog? Were you told? I've said this over and over on YouTube. I believe I even have one that's called the Dog Snatcher of New York, which is you. You're a dog snatcher, Todd Baxter. When I label you as a fanatic, degenerate, and sociopath, it is accurate, because a sheriff that has two employees at the residence of an innocent man demanding his dog is a fanatic, a degenerate, and a sociopath. It's not an exaggeration. It's not hyperbole. How do you come to my house and demand my dog? How does that happen? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your employees, like Shannon Meyer and Andrew Yelly and Don Benedetto? Why can't you behave with civility and decency? If I'm walking my dog like I was, and there's a problem with anybody that I live near, and they receive a complaint, then why don't your employees just call me on the phone? So, they called you. What your employees should have done, I'm going to tell you how to do your job, you bald-headed fascist, stooge, and criminal. They receive a call from these parasites, Neeraj and Leila Kumar, shot at your office. What your employees should have done is pick up the phone and call me and say, we received a call from Neeraj and Leila Kumar Shah about you walking your dog, so let's talk about that. And then we're going to have a conversation. Because that's the way it's done, but that's not what you do with your Jonestown. This is why people hate the police. People hate the police because of Todd Baxter. People hate the police because of the employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Why don't you just call me on the phone? Because you want to come to my house and exercise power and demand my dog and receive my dog and then go back to Jonestown and have a little celebration about how you acquired my dog. That's exactly why your employees are here. What is wrong with you, Todd Baxter? You are the snakehead criminal of a criminal operation. He has love in his heart. I can tell you my 5,000, 10,000 boring dog stories. I'm nothing special. People love their dogs because the dogs bring joy to their life. He won't even go on the floor. He'd go on the floor and I'd say, why'd you go on the floor? You're not supposed to go on the floor. He'd jump up on the bed when he knows he's not supposed to be on the bed. People love their dogs just as much as their family members. And here you are, my residence demanding my dog. What is wrong with you, Sheriff Todd Baxter? So, your $91,000 employee, Leila Roque, came in here. This is not a search warrant, Paul Messler. Leila Roque, this is not a search warrant. Do you know, Todd Baxter, your employee, $91,000 Leila Roque, was in here with this document that's not a search warrant, has no identifying marker on it? You, Paula Messler, typed this document in your library courtroom in Penfield Town Court, handed it to $91,000 Leila Roque. She contacted my landlords, and that's how you got in here. And your employee, Leila Roque, exited with my Chromebook. Because your employee, Leila Roque, Todd Baxter, is reading my emails and looking at the search history and the Chromebook, trying to concoct a crime for me. Did you recognize $91,000 Leila Roque for being in my residence, using a search warrant that's not a search warrant, exiting with my Chromebook? Did you recognize Leila Roque for taking all the papers I have in a bookcase downstairs, throwing them all over the floor? Did you recognize Leila Roque for going through my father's dresser? Did you recognize Leila Roque for taking my running shoes and throwing them 10 feet, 15 feet from where they're supposed to be? Did you recognize Leila Roque for descending on my life with hatred? And she was wearing these blue gloves. These are your blue gloves, Leila Roque. You paid $91,000 to wear these blue gloves in the invasion of my life and my privacy. Fanatic, degenerate, sociopath, and criminal Todd Baxter employs fanatic, degenerate, sociopath, and criminal Leila Roque. Fire this Leila Roque. Everything on here I'm going to tell the United States Department of Justice, Todd Baxter. Now, I'm going to update this. You received this on January 9th. These are 16 Freedom of Information Law documents. I'm going to be on here again on YouTube within 48 hours. And every one I'm going to read to you. But this is the one I demand the most from you. So I'm only going to read this one. As this YouTube's at 33 minutes. This is the one I want the most. Because as I've demonstrated throughout this 33 minutes, you employ criminals. So what's the disciplinary process at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? I already know the answer. You have no disciplinary process. In the Army, when I was in 101st Airborne Division, there's the Article 15 and there's the courts martial. And I would do the paperwork for an Article 15, and I sat in on the courts martial. I sat behind the accused soldier. I sat behind the colonel and the other 4 officers, usually 5. And I watched it happen. And then there's a reduction in rank, and they take the pay of the soldier, and sometimes the soldier is dishonorably discharged. So I've seen the disciplinary process in the Army. I'm not citing my experience just to cite it. I'm demanding to know, based on my experience, do you have a disciplinary process? I already know the answer. I want you to tell me. I'm demanding you tell me you don't have one. For the criminals at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office that I've cited throughout this YouTube. So, Freedom of Information Law, this is dated January 9th. It's attached. Tell me what the answer is and respond to every single one of these. The internal disciplinary records of documentation for employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. Sheriff Todd K. Baxter has reprimanded, terminated, disciplined in employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And your answer is You don't have any disciplinary process because your employees abridged the civil and constitutional rights of innocent Americans. You, Todd Baxter, must be removed from office by the members of the New York State Legislature sitting in Albany. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime.